300 miles off the coast of Colombia, at 3:18 in the morning, the Pacific was supposed to be silent. But on a radar screen aboard the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Hamilton, a single red dot flickered to life, moving faster than any fishing boat could. Within minutes, satellites, drones, and thermal cameras all confirmed the same truth. A Cartel GoFast boat had just breached the world's most dangerous maritime corridor, the so-called drug superhighway of the Pacific. What happened next would become one of the most intense high-speed naval chases in recent. Invisible and fought in international waters where law, technology, and courage collide. But how did the cartels build an ocean highway right under America's nose? And what does this battle reveal? Untold stories from the modern battlefield. For years, the Pacific has been called the drug superhighway, a vast corridor connecting South America's jungles to North America's ports. Every night, hundreds of vessels move silently through, while following the law to the letter. That's what makes this mission so complex. It's not just a fight against traffickers. It's a test of discipline, coordination, and courage. And you know, when I first learned about these operations, I was shocked by how much they resemble full-scale military engagements. The only difference is that these battles happen without headlines, no parades, and a decision that would ignite a $500 million chase across the Pacific. Hamilton, it was unmistakable, a cartel runner. Within seconds, the calm routine of the night snapped. Alarms echoed, the deck lights shifted to red, and the boarding team strapped in. Wind, floodlights scanning the horizon. I've seen that kind of moment before, the switch from silence to chaos, and it always feels like standing on the edge of something enormous. Out there, every second counts. The GoFast turned sharply, throwing white foam as it tried to outmaneuver the pursuit. The traffickers knew the playbook: drop the cargo, distract the radar, disappear before. Through a loudspeaker in Spanish, stop your engines. You are being pursued by the United States Coast Guard. The smugglers didn't stop. Instead, one of them lifted a weapon. The pilot above squeezed the trigger, sending a burst of warning fire ahead of the bow. Tracer rounds streaking like red lightning across the dark. The GoFast swerved, nearly capsizing, and that's when Hamilton's marksman took his shot. Two precise bursts hit the twin outboard motors. The roar of the engines died. The chase, all 40 minutes of it, ended in seconds. What I find remarkable is, this was only the beginning, because as the first GoFast went silent, new blips appeared on the radar. Two more boats charging in from the south. The real firefight was just about to begin. When the GoFast finally drifted to a halt, the sea went quiet again, but the silence felt different this time. It wasn't peace, it was tension. The Coast Guard team approached cautiously, weapons ready, the smell of burnt diesel thick in the air. The 5 smugglers were pinned down, faces pressed to the deck, their adrenaline fading into shock. But the real secret wasn't the men. Cartels never waste space. A faint metallic echo when tapping the deck raised suspicion. The ship's engineer called it immediately double flooring. That meant hidden compartments, most likely filled with drugs or cash. Using a hydraulic cutter, they began peeling away the false panels. Sparks lit up the deck as metal shrieked under pressure. Beneath the wood, a secret cavity revealed itself. A cold, airtight chamber stacked with vacuum-sealed bricks wrapped in triple-layered plastic. Under the beam of a flashlight, the powder shimmered faintly beige. Cocaine. More than 2,000 kilograms of it, alongside several hundred kilograms of compressed marijuana. That haul alone was worth roughly $500 million. $500 million, sitting just a few inches below the sailor's boots. I can't help but think about the precision that goes into this kind of smuggling. These boats aren't built in back-alley workshops. Dangerous. Every innovation the cartels make forces the Coast Guard to adapt faster and smarter than before. And as the team secured the evidence, every brick photographed, numbered, and sealed, a new question surfaced. If this much cocaine was hidden on one small GoFast, How many more were out there tonight, running dark across the Pacific? The Coast Guard knew the answer all. Too well, too many. And before dawn broke, they would have to face 2 more of them. Both armed, both coming straight for the Hamilton. The firefight was over, but the real battle had just begun, and this one wasn't fought with bullets. It was fought with paperwork, precision, and proof. On the open ocean, every arrest is illegal. Minefield, one wrong step, one mislabeled photo, one broken seal, and an entire $500 million case can collapse in court. That's why the Coast Guard trains its crews not just to fight, but to preserve evidence like scientists under fire. Each brick of cocaine recovered from the GoFast was photographed under GPS tag light, assigned a serial number, and sealed in A. Moisture proof bag. The officers wore body cameras, documenting every move, every signature, every moment from discovery to storage. It's called the chain of custody, and it's as sacred in maritime. I've always found that part fascinating, how these men and women balance combat and legality at once. Imagine fighting armed smugglers in pitch-black waves, and then immediately shifting into forensic detail mode. It's like switching from a battlefield to a courtroom in seconds. And they have to get it right, because defense lawyers for the cartels are waiting for even the smallest mistake. There was a famous case back in 2019, United States versus Prado, where a trafficker walked free because an officer didn't log the GPS time correctly. That one error cost months of case. Something larger was brewing. New technology, new tactics, and a new kind of war that was about to reshape everything they knew about fighting crime at sea. In the years since that operation, the ocean hasn't grown quieter. It's become smarter. The Coast Guard's war against maritime trafficking has turned into something far beyond traditional law. Enforcement. It's now a technological chess match fought with satellites, drones, artificial intelligence, and data streams that predict a smuggler's path before he even leaves the shore. This is the new face of warfare, one where code and courage move side by side. After the Hamilton success, the United States began deploying predictive systems that analyze wind patterns, ocean currents, and shipping routes to forecast the most likely drug corridors. They call it AI tide mapping. It sounds simple, but it changes everything, transforming thousands of miles of ocean water into a grid of probabilities. Add underwater acoustic sensors and thermal satellite imaging, and the result is a kind of digital net, one that tightens with every failed attempt by just to make sure another ton of cocaine doesn't reach American streets. They don't see themselves as heroes. They see themselves as guardians, keeping chaos a few miles farther from the shore. It set a global precedent for how countries can fight crime, protect trade, and uphold international law all at once. That's the real evolution, not just in weapons or machines, but in mindset. And as technology continues to evolve, so does the danger. Cartels are experimenting with unmanned vessels and stealth submersibles, while the Coast Guard invests in AI-driven surveillance and satellite-linked drones. It's a never-ending cycle of adaptation, a war where victory isn't permanent, but persistence is. So the next time you look at a calm blue horizon, remember, somewhere out, the world's most dangerous front lines, just a little bit safer.